that we are part of, or the Goa Bird Conservation Network. I will not waste time introducing what bird watching or birding is. I assume everybody knows. Basically, it's going out in the field and watching birds, which is a simple, easy definition of bird watching. Okay, so I don't know how much you can see, but basically, who we are is a big network of individuals. As yet, GBCN is not a formal organization. There is no formal membership. Anybody can come and join and be part of our activities. And just so you know how we connect with the rest of the world, GBCN, can you actually see what's happening there? Or is it not? So GBCN, the Goa Bird Conservation Network, is basically the Goa chapter or the Goa branch of the Indian Bird Conservation Network, which is a larger nationwide organization, and which is a network of NGOs and organizations that are working for bird conservation. So we are kind of the Goa chapter of IBCN. The IBCN itself was established in the late 1990s by three organizations. One is BNHS, the Bombay Natural History Society, which is essentially kind of like the mothership of all bird watching in India. BNHS goes back a long way, and they are kind of the primary organization that conducts research and directs research in bird watching and other nature-oriented activities. And BNHS partnered with two other organizations. One is BirdLife International, which is an international network like the BNHS, but more with a global reach. And RSPB, which is the Royal Society for the Protection of Birds, which is, as you can tell from the name, a British organization that also works basically for the protection of birds. So RSPB, BNHS and BirdLife International come together and make up IBCN, and we are the Goa chapter of IBCN. And we also have support from other organizations like eBird. eBird is essentially a portal for bird watchers, which was set up by Cornell University a few years back. So it's become like the primary source of information and data dissemination for us. We also have partnership with another organization called Bird Count India, which basically does the same kind of thing as eBird, but at a national level. So that's just to let you know where we are in terms of tie-ups with organizations. Okay, so quick presentation on what we do. We do a lot of things. Many of us go birding and do other birding related things on an individual basis, but as an organization, we do several things. And one of the most important things that we do is, you can't see the lettering there, but it's citizen science. So citizen science is basically just everybody goes out and has a bit of fun, but also uses their fun in a way that it can help the overall conservation effort. And we do this in various ways, but one of the primary ways we do it, especially in Goa, is to keep what we kind of like a Goa birds checklist or a Goa avifauna checklist. Most of the early research into birds in India was done by British ornithologists during the Raj. And because Goa wasn't part of the British Raj, Goa and the Portuguese were not interested in birds, except if it was in a Kafria or something like that. So the Portuguese did nothing with our, they weren't interested in that. So it's only after liberation that people started coming to Goa and researching Goa's birds. And Goa has a very unique position in terms of geography and, especially in terms of geography. So there are several different types of habitats that come together at Goa. So in terms of species richness, Goa is extremely rich. So we have at last count about 450 known species in Goa, and that count through the efforts of our organization is increasing. So we are constantly finding new records of birds that weren't found in Goa before. Like that is a picture of the red abbot, which was confirmed to be in Goa last year. It wasn't seen earlier. And the other thing we do is we encourage and we make sure all data of even small bird watching bird watching from their balcony, or people bird watching in their backyard, or just going out for a small bird walk, everything goes on to eBird. So eBird is globally accessible and open information for everybody, so anybody can go and check what kind of birds are found in a particular locality or state or for India. And since I have only 5 minutes, another thing we do is the Important Bird Area program. So now BirdLife International has a global program for the important bird areas. So they identify certain areas as important bird areas where there are large congregations of birds or extremely rich in terms of species diversity. Goa currently has 4 IBAs: Karamboli Wetlands, the Kotigaon Wildlife Sanctuary, the Mahadev Wildlife Sanctuary, and the Bhagwan Mahavir National Park in Mole. So GBCN, one of the activities we do is to monitor and see how these IBAs are doing and report back to the parent organization, in this case IBCN, how if there are any issues and flag issues at any of these IBAs. And we also propose, we've recently, a team led by Parag, put together documentation and data to submit to IBCN to propose three new IBAs in Goa. The Bondla Wildlife Sanctuary, which is a small wildlife sanctuary, but in terms of wildlife is very rich. The Netravali Wildlife Sanctuary, which is a huge wildlife sanctuary and should be an IBA. The Amona Naveli Wetlands, which is almost at par with Karamboli these days in terms of the kind of birds that you see there. And also we propose the expansion of the current IBA in Karamboli. Right now the IBA in Karamboli is only the lake, but there are areas around it, the fields and the wetlands and all which should also be included. So this is the proposal that's gone and which hopefully will get implemented, and then Goa will have 7 IBAs as opposed to the current 4. The other thing we do is bird surveys. So we work very closely with the Goa Forest Department. The Goa Forest Department has all these properties or all these areas under their management, but they have no idea what kind of bird diversity is in it. And they conduct a zoological survey separately from the Zoological Survey of India, who does the Wildlife Institute. And so for the last few years, we've been doing bird surveys for them. So we've gone into, what we do is a whole bunch of us go into, say, Bondla and spend 3 days and walk up and down and document all the birds that are there. We've done a similar thing in Shorao last year. So so the forest department calls us in and then we go and document everything. We have a bit of fun, and then at the end of the day, we give them a report and tell them that these are the birds in your sanctuary. So we do that, and we also participate in other larger global survey efforts like the Asian waterfowl count. The Asian waterfowl count happens around wetlands from January to February every year. Like there's a period which is peak time for waterfowls. So our members go out to fan out to wetlands in Goa and count the number of waterfowls, and the data goes to the headquarters in Wetlands International. And of course, one of the interesting things we did recently is a pelagic bird survey. Pelagic bird survey is basically a bird survey out on sea. So there's lots of birding activity on land now, and in fact, Goa recently, I think in eBird in India, there are more lists being submitted in Goa than if you look statewise number of lists that people submit for birds they see. Kerala ranks number 1 because Kerala has also a long tradition of bird watching, as has Maharashtra, but Goa is number 2. We're that tiny a state, but we are actually submitting a huge number of bird lists, which is great for us. And I think the GBCN has had a role to play in popularizing eBird, because there are lots of bird watchers. It's just that they don't, collate their efforts. And with eBird, even a single sighting somewhere goes into the database and it becomes something that is a valuable piece of information. So what has not been done so far in Goa is a pelagic bird survey, which means going out on the sea and checking out birds that don't come on land. So a few months ago, we had a very enjoyable experience taking a trawler and going out and surveying all the birds out at sea. That's one of the things. Another interesting thing that we did recently is a program called Birding by Year. What we did is, there's a school nearby in Santa Cruz run by the National Association of Blind, and they have all these blind kids from visually impaired, not all of them are completely blind. So one of our members thought it would be an interesting idea to go there, and because a lot of the birding that we do also is by ear. So many bird species can be identified simply by sound. You don't even have to see it. So we thought it would be an interesting experiment to go and see if visually impaired kids could pick that up. And it was amazing. We did 2 sessions for them indoors where we played sounds of a laptop or somebody mimicked the sounds. And I don't know if you can see in the picture, but one of our members, Carl De Silva, the well-known ornithologist, he has a lot of samples of stuffed birds and wings and talons and beaks and skulls. And so we took all of that, and these blind kids had a lot of fun touching and feeling and listening and associating the touch and feel with the sound. And then eventually we took them out to an outdoor experience and saw how they could relate to what they heard from a laptop maybe, and whether they could hear it out in the open. It was a great experience. And you can see that one of the members is trying to imitate some bird sound, and hopefully we'll be able to do more of this. It was a reasonably enjoyable experience for everyone. And one of the other things that we do, and which is kind of the most popular thing we do, and the one that everybody hears of, is the bird walks. So we conduct these monthly bird walks, which is for everybody. So even if you know nothing about birds, you can come. And basically we just start walking to pick a location. And so there are several experts, and there are several people who know nothing, and there are several people in between. So and everybody looks at the birds and has a bit of fun. And it's just that people get to connect with nature and enjoy. It's usually early in the morning when it's not hot and things like that. And maybe it introduces a seed in someone, and then they go back and they become more enthused about it and become lifelong birders. So that's the idea. This happens on the first Sunday of every month in the morning. In fact, there is one day after tomorrow at Wellsound. So if you want to connect with that, Facebook is the best way actually. So just search for Goa Birders on Facebook, and you can know when our events happen, and you're all free to come. And especially for GALF delegates, we are having a special bird walk tomorrow. So this is essentially a promo for tomorrow. If you're interested, we are going to take delegates from GALF on a bird walk just outside ICG, because we can't go too far, we don't have transport. But this Lonavala Plateau is also a reasonably nice area to bird. So 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, we'll all meet at the main gate if you want to come, and then we'll walk around a couple of hours. And maybe those of you who've never done it before will know what exactly it is, so you're all welcome to come. With that, we've kind of done with our presentation.
I highly recommend you go on a bird walk with Rajiv and with Parag and everyone else in the Goa Bird Conservation Network. It's an amazing way to see a different side of Goa you cannot imagine. I'm sure they've mentioned this, but we are extremely lucky in Goa to have species of 2 or 3 different types of birds. I mean, you see a tremendous concentration in a short period of time. So tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock at the gates of ICG, they're going to be leading a bird walk, and I hope many of you will join. Thank you so much, Rajiv and Parag.
Yeah, thank you, Vivek. Thank you.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you all.